what would you describe as some of the things that you've been able to do to finesse yourself into certain situations?
Oh, see, now you asked me to tell on myself. Now you hear? She asked me to tell on myself.
What's up, everybody? We are back for another amazing episode of Finding Your Niche with Neish. I'm your host, Neish, and right now I'm accompanied by, really, I don't know what to call it, the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin, Salt and Pepper. I don't know. They're amazing men that I'm super excited to talk to. One, Dar, Cory Loggins. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm so excited to have you guys on. I think I have to start off this interview because obviously, if you know, you might know. If you don't, I actually filmed this podcast in Atlanta because it is the place to be. And one thing that you figure out soon when you come to Atlanta is that everybody here, a lot of people here are not from Atlanta, except for these two gentlemen right here. So thank you guys so much for being some of the OGs.
Definitely.
From the state.
Thank you. I ain't gonna even lie to you. For you to start the interview off like that and recognize that speaks a lot to me because a lot of people don't recognize that. And I salute out of towners. I salute everybody that comes to the city. And, you know, they take the culture or, you know, thrive off the culture. But a lot of people are not really from the city. So to acknowledge that, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So this is a big deal. All right. Me and Cory have had a lot of conversations offline to try to make this happen. And it's finally here. So this is a celebration. OK, so for sure. So I know Wondar wanted to kind of lead us off in a toast.
Definitely.
To this event. Super excited for all of you guys' success. But I'll let you take it from here.
Hey, man, I just want to make a toast, you know, to a great episode, a knowledgeable episode, a great opportunity to set a new foundation and thrive and just be great. So,
all right,
thank you.
There it is. Cheers. Finding your niche. All right. That's good. All right. So one of the things that I think is really cool about you guys is dynamic. You guys are cousins?
Yeah.
Like blood cousins? Wow. Okay. Super dope. And you guys do a lot of business together. Y'all make a lot of moves together. Y'all do a lot of things together. I am interested to know, where did that start from and why is that so important to you?
Well, it's important because, you know, I feel like the only way things can really thrive by having a relationship with somebody. I don't want to say y'all have to be related, but I feel like in a sense a relationship helps because like you said, the relationship and the way you guys get along, the way you know each other, the intertwined is how you think one and two and get it. Mm-hmm. Like a stranger or, you know, a friend maybe not be able to comprehend that or, you know, understand the rhythm and how the things flow. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's built a strong bond. You can trust them and, you know, it works out. Mm-hmm.
It works out really well. Can you guys talk about, I guess, you guys' role in business? What are the roles?
So that's my manager. Like I said, I'm an artist. I go by the name of Wondar. Zone 4 Camden Road. I'm an Atlanta native, born and raised in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, the real Atlanta, Georgia, the real city.
Dang, I wish I could say that. Okay, and Cory, can you talk about like your role as far as what it means to kind of like manage and what that encompasses?
I mean, I would say a lot of times just being hands-on, being accountable, that's probably one of the most things that I would say about myself is just always being 10 steps ahead of everyone else and just always putting in work and dedication and not really getting a lot of sleep, but in the long run, it will pay off eventually. But for the most part, just accountability and being at the right place at the right time, being punctual. That's kind of what my role is. I have a lot of hats in this industry, so I don't really like to be boxed in.
Yeah, that is actually one thing that I noticed about you very early on with meeting you is you actually remind me of me. Like the way that you move and how you're able to kind of network and be in different spaces and be still not necessarily have all the accolades, but still have a certain level of influence wherever you go. And so I really appreciate about you, how you're able to kind of do that and maneuver in these rooms where it's like, you walk into the room as if you are supposed to be there because you are. And so where did you get that kind of confidence from?
That's very difficult to answer because I just think at a young age, being from Atlanta and, you know, seeing all of the influence that Atlanta has, I was one of the kids that grew up watching Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and seeing that these people, these everyday people that you see on TV that go on different places that you're growing up around.
Yeah.
And I never had that insight to where I was like, you know, I'm starstruck to who they are. I always believed in myself and feeling like I could do those same things. So it was just always a continuum of me applying myself, and then one day I could do the same things. And now it's just putting in hard work. It's like some of those doors have opened up, but having faith and having hard work.
Yeah. I think I might have asked this to Cory one time in one of our conversations that we have, but it's just like, because people want to do that. It's weird. Atlanta's like a place where it's like you can be going to the store one day and the next day you can see an A-list celebrity. Like, it's just different in that sense. But at the same time, like you said, it's about being in the right place at the right time. If it comes to being intentional about being in the right place at the right time, which I think is something you do, how do people go about being intentional about getting in those spaces?
About being intentional, I would say dressing the part. That's a huge one to me, because if you're talking about someone that has a certain stature and that has certain influence, typically people that have those type of statures, they like to be around people that look like they're about something. So your appearance is one of the biggest things. How you conduct yourself, how you articulate yourself, because you might have 10 seconds to be around someone, but you have to make it count.
Yeah.
So you have to have your game plan together at all times. Like, you can't figure it out on spot, because I mean, that's typically what, you know, celebrities and people like that, they get. That's normal. That's the normal thing, you know, want to take a picture. But if you prepare yourself, you have to have your presentation ready and know what you want to say and be direct with it. Look them in the eye like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's really good. Speaking of dressing the part, if y'all haven't recognized this bomb hoodie that I have on right now, let's get into it. First of all, Juugrunner, the one and only. Talk about this clothing line, because I like this. Hold on, let me put this hoodie on so y'all can see the whole situation. Let me not mess up my mic. But anyways, it does zip all the way up. Dar, can you talk about the brand, the intention behind the brand, what Juugrunner means, and why it's important to you?
Definitely. So, Juugrunner ATL, basically my mission statement is helping you stay in the race, complete the race, and get to where you need to be. Juugrunner, you know, Juugrunner is all about, it's more than one way to skin a cat. It's more than one way to get to a destination. A lot of times you might have to take different routes to get to a certain destination, you know, but it's okay. You know, your plan A might work, no, your plan B might not work, your plan C might not work, excuse me, but it's okay to move around, put different hats on, help people. It's still going to the same destination. It's still going to the same cause. So basically with Juugrunner, I came over that. First off, I'm a musical artist, as I told you before, but every artist needs a merch. You always have to have merch. The merch is where a lot of artists make their money from. And it's something tangible that the people can touch, they can feel you on. So that's basically how Juugrunner came about. I said I wanted to have a movement. I wanted to have something that people belong to, like something when people see it, they know exactly what it is. Like when you see an iPhone, you look at the back of an Apple, you know what I'm saying? That's automatically you think of an iPhone, because Apple done put that in your head. You done seen the phone so much, so you automatically think about that. So basically that's how Juugrunner came about.
I love that. And I love the, I guess what I really appreciate about you even creating this merch is the thought process behind it. Because like what you're saying is, it's important because when people just listen to the music, it kind of stops there.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you are figuring out how can I make a lasting impression on people outside of the music to where they still can think about me and they can have a connection of my music that ties back to different things and different businesses that I have. So I think that's extremely smart for you to be able to kind of start this. What has been the reception so far?
So honestly, the biggest thing with my brand is, and I'm learning it more and more every day, and I'm getting better with it, with more and more designs and coming up with meaningful things and slogans that mean things. Like when people look at your brand, they look at you, they associate you with your brand, and you don't want them to get the wrong message. You know what I mean? So this is my actually OG. This is my first design for the Juugrunner ATL,
oh my God,
which was me on a dollar bill. I took the bill, made me, put my face on it. You know, put Juugrunner with the stamp, run around it. You know, that's the first thing I came up with. Now I have the JR with the star. You know, Rockstar actually was the inspiration behind that. I got the Kiss Me All Over JR hoodies. You know what I mean? So everything is elevating. But the biggest thing with my brand is just letting people know that it's not a gang. It's not whatever you think it is. It's meaningful. It's powerful. It's a group. It's an association. You know what I'm saying? It means something. It's about the future, pushing the future ahead, helping everybody get ahead, helping my peers get ahead. You know, bringing them up. We a whole cohort. We a whole coalition. We a whole group. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing behind the Juugrunner, and I'm learning it every day as I construct new designs and I come up with new slogans and I do different things around my brand to let people know what it is.
You just kind of made me think of a thought when you just said, you know, trying to figure out how to get ahead. Because like I said at the top of the interview, Atlanta is a place where it's like there's been an extreme influx in the population of like people coming here. That people call it the Black Mecca, the Black Hollywood. And especially for music, right? Definitely. There's a lot of people who come here that want to do music. How do you plan on getting ahead in the music industry?
Well, I honestly plan on getting ahead by just doing what you just said, getting ahead, my brand. Things around my music to go with the music. Like, for instance, I got Juugrunner the line. I'm finna recently launch. It's in the works right now. It's very, very soon. The Lady Runners, that's a modeling agency, so I have that as far as videos, and I have my own models assigned to me that I can work out and push them out, you know. I have JR Film, the film company, Juugrunner Films, that's on the way. All of these things are in the works right now and producing things right now as we're talking. I feel like capital, that's the way that you get ahead. Ownership, owning things, having things under your belt, showing people that you just not a one-trick pony. Like, that's the thing that killed me with artists. It is not to toot my own horn or not sound, you know what I'm saying, cocky or nothing like that, but you have to have cockiness to a certain degree. You have to know what you're doing, and if you're going to do something, you have to know your profession in and out. Like, people think it just stop at music, just going in the booth, getting in the booth, rapping, and getting out the booth. It's deeper than that. You need to know how to engineer your music, record your videos. If you got to cut your tracks, mix and master. Like, it's so many things that come along with this. Of course, you're going to get to a point where somebody else can do it, but when you're not at that point and you have all this time and you can make things happen, and that's what you do, that's how you get ahead.
I like that. Speaking of time, Cory kind of alluded to it a little bit. When you're in these spaces, when you're in front of these, you know, big level celebrities, big influencers, you have a small window of opportunity, right, to make an impression on them. Can you give a story or talk about a time where you were in front of somebody or one of these this caliber of person and you were able to actually execute in that way?
So I had the opportunity, wasn't even too long ago. I went to a screening and I had the opportunity. I met Yandy. She's on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And I just wanted to insert myself and let her kind of know this is what I'm doing. Like, I manage artists. I'm a model, actor, whatever have you. Very detailed. Yeah, very detailed, on time, things like that. Whatever you need to get done in the city of Atlanta, I know somebody that knows somebody, and that's how typically the business works. But I had a small window, and basically...
When you have that small window, though, because I feel like when you're in situations like that, I don't know, like sometimes people choke, right? Because they do get starstruck or they do get like, you know, like figuring it out. But it's like, how do you stay so poised and controlled and grounded, and what is it that you're saying?
So basically, it's just about finding your niche. What is it that you could bring to the table that I'm not looking to have necessarily in return right now, but that I can connect the dots for you. So with that being said, being able to align myself and make it make sense to whatever you have going on, how can I insert myself to where we both can make it make sense and it be, you know, like a collaboration. So a lot of times I find when you help other people, they'll be more inclined to help you. And that's really what my message is as far as us as Black people, that we have to be comfortable with helping each other out. That way that we can move ahead, because a lot of times everyone else has strong communities and, you know, we see gentrification all around. But when we learn as Black people to help each other, we'll be having seats at the table too.
What is it that's making you do that? Because I do think that, you know, that's the kind of stuff that'll actually push the needle, right? When it comes to us, you know, gaining and bridging the gap, I guess, the wealth gap and the exposure gap, all the gaps that Black people have. where did you get that from to be able to do that? Because it is like, that's just what we know, like being, you know, in the culture, it's like crabs in the bucket mentality, right? And so where did you get that from to be able to, like, I guess, have the willingness and the cooperativeness to be able to have such an amount of inclusion in what you do?
I feel like that's what our position is. If we're in position to help one another, then that's our duty and obligation. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. If you have it, then why not reach back? If you look at the concept of Lil Wayne was once at the top.
Yeah.
And then he put Drake on. So what do you think Drake is gonna do? So I mean, it's that important that we continue to help each one get ahead.
Yeah.
Because when we leave out of here, we see it all around us, like people that are in need.
Yeah.
But when you have an abundance of resources and knowledge, how can you keep all of that to yourself?
Yeah. Speaking of Drake, me and Wendar were talking a little bit off camera before we started the interview, talking about some of our favorite rappers. Who would you say are the people that you look up to when it comes to music?
Of course, I'm gonna be make myself number one on the list. I look, I look up to myself every day. Every day I listen to a song, I say something so hard, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But outside of me, Tupac, of course, Bankroll Fresh, rest in peace, my boy Bankroll. Oh my God, rest in peace, my boy Bankroll. Gucci Man, of course. That's what. Honestly, a fun fact about me: my first favorite rapper was Ludacris.
Really?
That was my first favorite rapper. That was my first favorite rapper.
Why are you laughing, Cory?
Because you never knew that. Nobody never knew that. No one never knew that. That's why. That's why it's funny. Nobody ever knew that.
Okay.
That was my first favorite rapper, and then Gucci Man magically became my favorite rapper. I stopped listening to Ludacris, and it was like, man, I was listening to Ludacris, and you know what I'm saying? But salute Ludacris, shout out Ludacris, shout out Ludacris. You know
I haven't seen him watch one Fast and Furious. That's why I'm laughing.
I watched all of them, by the way.
Really? So Luda?
Yeah.
So when you first started rapping, did you have some like remnants of Luda in some of your verses?
It's not even that. I just like how original Ludacris was. You look at him when he first came out, nobody was like him. It was like the content of his music. Even if you were like, what? He didn't even care. He was himself, different, originality. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's taking on some of the same things, the paths that I'm taking right now. He was a student at Georgia State. I graduated at Georgia State in the fall, by the way. My bad, in the summer, by the way. May 2023, I graduate. I will get my bachelor's in film and media from Georgia State.
Dope.
Like I said, I currently got a partnership with Streets 94.5. He was at the radio station when he was in college too. You see what I'm saying? So these were things that I was paying attention to coming up early, knowing that I wanted to be in the entertainment field, and looking at it like, dang, he really just finessed his way in. Juugrunner, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about. It's putting on those different hats and taking on different paths, but you still trying to get to your destination. That's what I want people to understand. Like, just because you a rapper and you a chef one day, that does not take away from you being a rapper. They don't take away from you being a rapper. If you're a barber, they still don't take away from you being a rapper. Whatever you do, it doesn't take away from what you do. Sometimes you have to do other things to shed light on what it is that you really do. You can be working with somebody the whole time. They can put you in a position. They be like, hey, I never knew you did that. They find out, and then it's up from there.
Yeah. I have to say this because you just kind of made me think about, rap in Atlanta, rap in particular. And then it kind of coincides with who you guys are, because one thing that I really do like about the messaging and the narrative that you guys have is like spreading this positive energy about, this positive narrative around Black men being able to do Black things, being able to do positive things in their community and not just becoming a victim of your surroundings. I have to ask you guys about the situation with the Migos, right? They're obviously from Atlanta. You guys are from Atlanta. Can you talk about how important it is when you think about the story and you think about Takeoff and what happened, how important it is to not necessarily have to leave where you come from, but also have to elevate your thinking and to move differently with having certain people around you?
The Takeoff thing, I ain't gonna even lie. RP Takeoff is tragic. I just put that in one of the songs, like there's a new song that's gonna come out. But I think that's tragic, and I feel like sometimes I don't be wanting to speak too much on like situations and stuff like that occur, because you never know the full details. You weren't there, you never know what happened. But I just feel like even the whole situation surrounding up to the Migos' death, to his death and with the Migos, them not getting along and the group breaking up, and like unity is very important. And I feel like sometimes when you can't get it together, God will get it together for you, you know. So that's why you have to use wise counsel. I always say that's one of my things. You always have to use wise counsel and good judgment. And, you know, it's just crazy to me because Takeoff, like, I'm not going to even lie. Out of the whole time he was a rapper, I never heard him say one word. I never heard him say one word. Like, he just quiet. And it's crazy because I see a lot of similarities in me and him, like how he just gets away and just chill. Like, I find that crazy how a person that can just be chilling like that, out the way, not doing nothing, still end up getting killed. So that was a sign for everybody that if you got problems with people, you have to get them together. Whatever you trying to do, you have to do it now. You can't wait. You got to do it right in the moment because you might not have tomorrow. You might not have next week, you know. And I don't mean to take too much of that, but like a funny story, and I'm going to cut it short. I had a mentor who passed, I want to say, last year or a couple months ago, but I believe it was last year around December sometime. But the thing about this is, this was a mentor that I had when I was maybe in six years old or something like that.
Okay.
He was older, you know. He ran a basketball camp, and when I used to go to camp, that used to be my mentor. He took a liking to me, like he used to, you know, take me, buy me shoes, all type of things. I lost touch with him, and when I ended up getting older, I ran into him when I was about 20 years old, 19, 20, 21, something like that. He was still doing good for himself, still, you know, playing basketball overseas and training and things like that. But he does music too. He has a whole lot of unreleased songs with like Young Thug, a whole lot of artists that he never puts them out, but he never puts them out. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You see what I'm saying? But he's never tripping about that. But one day I went over his house and he was like, I got all this equipment. What you doing? Let's do something. We got all these artists in the room. Ain't nobody doing it. Let's make some. I ain't even want to record no music that day, but I said, you know what? Bro, I don't even see him like that. I don't get a chance. So, but we finna make a song. We made a song. Long story short, I went to Blue Flame one day. And I ran into a contact. She gave me her phone. When she gave me her phone, I seen his name in the search bar. But I was thinking like, man, he probably used to talk to her or something like that. I came to find out he died. That's why his name was in her search bar. So I was just thinking back like, what if that day I never did that song with him? If I never went over there, that would have been my last time seeing him. And that right there let me know it's imperative that whatever that you're trying to do, you do it now because you don't have tomorrow. You cannot bullshit people's time. You have to take their time serious. Like how I'm saying, talking to you, like this is a privilege to be sitting in the room with everybody that's in the room right now. It's only one of everybody that's in the room. I can see somebody that look like you, that might sound like you, but they will never be you.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I think that's an amazing story, and I think that's so true about like figuring out how to own the moment, right? And to be present in the moment, especially with like the era that we're in where everybody's trying to capture everything on their phone for social media, you know, in real time to show everybody that flex, you know, of course, what's going on, what they're doing, what kind of moves they're making. But how do you, both of you guys can answer this, how do you guys, I guess, make sure that you stay present in what God is doing for you at this very moment?
I mean, I constantly pray. I look at where I started and where I am. I never lose track of where I am and where I'm going. I always go back to the basics. And just, I'm forever grateful. I mean, it's a little surreal to me as well because when we were coming up in elementary school, we were talking about these very same things. I don't know if you remember that.
But you know, I remember. I'm an
but yeah, I mean, we were having these conversations on the phone like as kids. So it's just, a lot of people, they fall off, they don't stay the course, or they give up on their goals, their ambitions, their dreams, and, you know, settle for less. But I think just staying true to you and staying in the moment and validating yourself first before anyone else will.
I think that's key. And what I also like about you guys' story is that because you guys seem, to me, I'm a believer, I'm a dreamer. And I feel like the way that you guys live your life and the way that you kind of put things out there in the atmosphere, that y'all are also dreamers. What kind of hope or encouragement would you give to someone who feels like that flame has kind of dwindled down for their once, you know, things that they once wanted to dream about and achieve, and now they feel completely hopeless?
I would say just continue to walk in your line of faith. Pray to God because that's the only person that's going to put that battery in your back. Tune out everyone else because sometimes you're born by yourself, so you have to walk the line by yourself. And a lot of times once you catch fire to something, then everybody else later on, they'll be like, oh, I always believed in you to do this or that. But really, all of that along was inside of you. So you have to know your true value first and continue to walk in that path.
Definitely. I would say, just like he said, and it's fun that you said what you said about God. I'm glad that you brought God up, and I'm so glad that you're a believer in God. You know, I always tell people, and I tell him this all the time, no matter what happens and everything in the life, I pray to God, not mankind. So with that being said, that means God is in control of everything. Nobody else is in control of your destiny. Nobody can dictate where you go. Only you and God dictate that. So you don't need to fret or walk around fearless when you're trying to accomplish certain things and do what you need to do. You just know that the road, it gets rocky sometimes. It gets scary. It's a lot of times you feel like you going through the motions. You don't know what you're doing. But that's when you getting closer to what you're supposed to be doing. You're getting out of your comfort zone. That's the most important thing, getting out of your comfort zone. When you get out of your comfort zone, you unlock new levels in life. So I would tell anybody to always believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, how is anybody else going to believe in you? Money has nothing to do with it. A lot of people believe they had money and they had $0 in their pocket and then they got money. It started with believing.
Yep, that's good. That's really good. Speaking of going to new levels and thinking about your destiny, I'm very excited to see what's in store for you both because you're both multi-talented. Both of you guys are actors.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because I saw some of your stuff. Yeah. And I was totally really impressed by your acting skills. So what is in the future for you guys as far as acting?
Some of the things I can't really speak of yet, but I'm very excited. A lot of great opportunities have been brought my way. So I'm still kind of waiting on that confirmation. But stay tuned. That's what I will say. Definitely stay tuned. Don't sleep on me. Because I'm telling you, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
can you say at least where we might see some of these things?
We got a few networks in the works. Just know that. A few networks in the works. You know what I'm saying?
A few networks in the works. Well, I'm very excited. I think I got to catch a couple of the clips from, I think, Balance.
Yeah.
And, I don't try to act. I don't. I get asked to act, and I always suck at acting. I don't know why people ask me. I want them to stop because I'm not good at it. But I'm always just so impressed by people who are able to kind of tap into another version of themselves to become essentially somebody else for a period of time and become believable in that sense. When I think about, who you guys are versus who you were today, what version of yourself are you most proud of that you've been able to achieve?
Honestly, I never seem to amaze myself. I'm still getting impressed more and more every day. I really can't say a specific version because it's always something new every day. Mm-hmm. I shed skin every day. I grow new skin every day. I do new things every day. I get new accomplishments. It's like when I thought I was proud of myself at this point, I get more proud of myself for this point. Yeah. It may not even be something that I did that had something to do with the entertainment business. It could be helping somebody. Mm-hmm. It could be anything, and I know, I'm really growing. I'm really going to new levels. Doors are opening. Doors are unlocking. More and more people start to cling on to you for help and starting to look to you for direction and acknowledgement that you getting up there. Mm-hmm. Like he said, it's about validating yourself before you get validated. The check is just a blue check. It means nothing if you don't utilize it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys consider yourselves extrovert and introvert?
I'm definitely an extrovert.
You're an extrovert?
I'm an extrovert completely.
You're an introvert?
Yeah, I'm not social. I'm not social.
Really?
No, I'm not an introvert at all.
I know how to network. I know how to get outside the box and do what I need to do, but I'm really a loner. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm really a loner. But it come from me being on the child. Mm-hmm. So when you're on the child, there's a lot of things you gotta learn, a lot of ways you gotta break out of, to interact with the world and the people in them and things like that.
Yeah. That's really, I'm a little bit surprised to hear that you're an introvert. It might just be, I'm a little bit surprised to hear that you're an extrovert. And it might be because, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. It might be because you're so professional that it can come off like you're an introvert because you're just so, I I don't know. You're just so, I don't know, in line, poised.
I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
I would say this. It's just I try to reserve my energy for when it's useful and useless. Because a lot of people, they want this and they want that, but they're not the right people. So it's like you have to kind of study people. You have to be a people person. And the more that you're around people, you get to know, okay, who's faking, who's talking the most. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Confidence is silent, and that's what I've learned. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's it with me.
I also kind of want to get some game from you too, for people who kind of like, you know, want to figure out what it is that you're doing when you get into these rooms. Are you, I guess, what is the pre-work before you get into the room? What does that look like for you?
It goes back as far as like early childhood upcomings. My grandma was a piano teacher. She taught Bobby Valentino piano lessons, so I was constantly just seeing people come in and out of the house, in and out of the house. Mm-hmm. That's why I have like the connection with music with him. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, just growing up with grandparents, you know, learning how to speak, mm-hmm. that having that skill to where it doesn't matter who comes around, you know how to say hello to someone and speak, and making all people feel like they're welcome, not just the stars. Like a lot of people, they get it twisted when they see a star and they don't look at who's around the star. Mm-hmm. When you're around a certain person who is a star, look at who they are around, acknowledge them too. You have to make an impact on that person for them to feel like they're welcome, for you to step up. So mm-hmm. it's all about building relationships, and the more that you work at it, the better that you'll get.
Yeah, and I think that's key, and I think that's something that like, it's so important that you're saying that, because a lot of people don't think that way, and I think that's why you remind me of me, because we think about, I don't know, like the story behind the story, like in layers, basically. And so that's important, because that's really good game, because a lot of people don't think, if you see like this A-list celebrity and you look at the people around them, those are actually the decision makers. And people don't talk to them. They try to like just go straight for like the main person, and then that's just kind of the situation. But like knowing about, you know, looking around who's in their sphere of influence, who do they keep talking to, who's on their phone around them, and like approaching those people and like letting those people know too that they're seen, you know, and appreciated. I think that's like an extremely important facet. Has there been anybody in Atlanta or in general, celebrities, that you just have not met but would find to be very, very exciting to meet them?
I think, I'm gonna be honest, when I first met Tip, I'm from Atlanta, I had that step back moment. I'm not really like the starstruck type. I've been around the industry for a while, you know, different facets of people. But when I met Tip, being from Atlanta, that was kind of like, that's literally like the Jay-Z of our Atlanta. So I kind of had that, damn, like I just met Tip and he gave me game. Tip is one of those people, I'm sure you know, that when he says something in the moment, it'll revert back to you like maybe a day or two later, and you be like, now I get what he was saying. Mm-hmm. He has that type of effect. He gives game and drops gems all the time, but it might hit you later though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to meet him. I got to interview him actually, and he was a delight. I would describe it that way. To really sit down and talk with him. And I don't know, so I've been calling him T.I. Do I sound like I'm really from Atlanta if I just say Tip? Like I got to interview Tip instead of T.I.?
I think calling him Tip is like an Atlanta thing.
Okay,
like, we know him as Tip.
So yeah, I got to interview Tip, and man, like it was lit. He was super dope. And you know what? To kind of what you're saying, I actually was at his restaurant once, and this was a really dope moment. We had got to the restaurant, kind of, you know, shook hands, gave hugs, let him know that we were there or whatever. And so we're just eating, doing our thing. Like we just say hi to him, let him, you know, be to, you know, on the side doing his business. And then we're just eating, chilling, chopping it up. And maybe 10, 15 minutes later, somebody comes to our table and says, "Did you guys order lemon pepper wings?" And it's Tip. And it's Tip bringing us wings. Yeah. And we were like, "No, we didn't." He said, "Did somebody order lemon pepper wings?" And we said, "We did." And so he just gave us a plate of like lemon pepper wings. And it was just really cool to see that he's not above, I guess, serving or seeing people for who they are. So that was just like a really cool moment that I have with him. But that's super dope. What about you? What would be that person that's like, oh my God, I can't wait to meet this person?
Like, I really don't have no people like that. Honestly, I gotta really think like, but I can agree with Cuz though. Like Tip, like I said, and I said this in the other interview. Like if I compare myself to an artist, like I compare myself to the young Tip when he was first coming up, like the Unseer T.I., Urban Legend T.I., because like he had so much to say, he was gonna get it out. There's another one who I feel like Ludacris, he was different too in his own way. But Tip just carried the South on his back. It's like when he speak, you know he from the South. When you hear the beats, you know he from the South. You could tell he mean what he say, you know, so. Yeah.
That's good. One of the other things that I like when I think about Tip too, something that I really appreciate about him is that he's an activist in his own right. You know, he's done a lot of activism things. And then you guys also push this narrative of changing the community or changing the narrative around how people view the community. What are some of the endeavors or some of the things that you guys have in place or in the future that you plan to do to continue that conversation?
Well, right now, I'm working with a nonprofit. It's called Hands Off. It's basically shedding light on sexual assault survivors, women that were sexually assaulted. And that's teaching men about consent, because a lot of times you could be with a female or whatever have you, and a lot of times the proper questions of is this okay, wherever we're going, those don't get answered properly, and before you know it, you find yourself in a situation. So it's very important that you know what consent is and how does that look, as well as I'm working doing some projects with Roland Martin right now, but that's something that I'm not really gonna get too much into.
Okay.
I'm saying I got a lot of stuff coming, so.
Yeah. That's dope. Why do you think those kind of things are so important, but yet people don't really know about them? What is that?
I just don't think people take the time. Like sometimes you have to have an out of body moment with yourself and be like, okay, am I doing this properly? A lot of times you could be just moving and not being impulsive, but sometimes you have to take a step back. You have to sit down just to see where you're standing. So it's like, I think that's important. Just taking the time and just looking at what you have in front of you. Is this okay? And a lot of times I think a lot of men are so afraid to approach women that it's like, you know what I mean? Like, if you just ask a woman, like a lot of times you can get so far with a female only if you ask.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can have any woman that you want, but just tell her the truth. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, that's game. That's game for real. I think that's you know, that's key about like knowing how to go about a situation the right way, honestly and upfront, will prevent like a lot of hardship on the back end. About knowing what you want to do and like being intentional and like communicative about that, you know, in the very beginning stages. So I think that's dope. With the clothing line, I want to talk about this a little bit more. When you created this, and when I think about Juugrunner, and I think about the idea of what you say jug means is basically to finesse, right? To be able to figure out how to get yourself to a certain situation or to a certain predicament by being clever, or witty or wise, or finding these different gaps or loopholes in order to do that. What would you describe as some of the things that you've been able to do to finesse yourself into certain situations?
Oh, now you asked me to tell on myself. Now she asked me to tell on myself. You know, I like that. That's a clever question, but I'm just gonna give you this gem right here.
Okay.
If you show up with a camera in your hand, I can't say you ain't a camera lady. I can't say you don't do photography. Only thing I know is you showed up with a camera in your hand. Me, I need photo shoots. I need videos. But you got a camera in your hand. See what I'm saying?
Wow. We're just going to leave that right there. If you know, you know. And I do know. Because I'm actually a videographer, and yeah, that part.
All this accents, right?
Yeah. No, that's facts. That's bang. I'm taking that out. That's too good. We're not giving them that. We're not giving them that. I'm taking it out. But no, for real, that's that's super clutch. And I think that's a great way to be able to finesse. And you know what's crazy? I'll piggyback that. So another way to kind of piggyback off of what One Dar just said is what I do is sometimes if you go to these sets with a camera and you know how to use it, and especially if you're on a film set and you get in there with a camera, because it's like, oh yeah, you got a camera, come on back. I just always ask for somebody named Scott or Michael. And I'll just be like, have you seen Scott? Has anybody seen Scott?
Bro, you is so funny. Oh my God. I just worked with
See what I'm saying?
Scott.
See, I always do.
Shout out Scott, Trap for Christmas. I hope you see this, Scott. I know you're going to see it.
Shout out to all the Scotts in the world. But no, for real, that's what I do. I'll be like, has anybody seen Scott? Has anybody seen Scott or Michael? People are like, Michael? Oh, I think he's in Grip. And I'm like, bet, okay. Or has anybody seen Scott? It's like, I just saw him. I don't know where he went. I don't know. But
Scott out here working. I wouldn't even be surprised at the same Scott. Hey, Scott, you working out here, Scott.
But no, for real, I think that's major key. And it's just like, you don't, and I tease on my other buddy, Enoch, who shoots video with me. He says sometimes, like, you can just hold it up and not even be rolling. Like, if you just make it look like, and just make it last. Sorry to put you out there like that, E. But, like, just hold a camera. Like, you'll be surprised how much a camera can actually get you into the room.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something so funny, Neish. So, I want to say about a couple days ago, I ain't going to spill too much of the beans, but I showed up, you know, a specific radio personnel. I found out she was hosting this event. And it's a very positive event called the Taste of Village. Mayor Khalid, Young Dro, shout out Young Dro. Hey, that was a great positive panel. Willie Watkins. This is basically just a panel talking to the youth about violence. Why do you feel like guns are so important? Talking to mothers who have lost children due to gun violence and things like that. So me being me, I pull up. They have this general parking. They have this VIP parking. You know, I got this camera in my hand. You know, I'm pulling up nice. You know, I'm looking apart. Hey man, you know how I am. Win. Boom. They ain't asking no questions. In there.
Yep.
I'm back here, man. Listen. You see this camera at home. I got Zaytoven on this camera. I got Pastor Tron on this camera. Mary Callie, I got everybody and their mama on this camera, all backstage. I'm the cameraman for the night. That's what I mean. You see what I'm saying? So there's the beauty of this. That's why you have to love the process. You have to enjoy the process. You cannot try to skip the steps because you're going to miss out on valuable things and skills and information that you could have learned, but you cheated yourself.
That's good. That is really, really good. I wanna ask you guys this, because something that you just said about like figuring out, you know, how to get into these rooms and also how to like leverage. That makes me think about how to actually leverage when you're there and how to become memorable. Has there been anything that you've done to actually distinguish yourself from everybody in the room?
Definitely. Like one thing I do, and I do this currently with my artistry. Say I'm doing a performance or something like that, and I get ready to perform, I'm always going to do the show version. The show version is basically where you do your hook and you take your verse out, and basically they just hear your voice. So this means that if you cough, you stumble, you mess up a word, anything you do, you skip a word, they're going to hear it very loud and clear because there's no words. It's only ad-libs. So what this makes you do is perform. It makes you give a real performance. It's the difference between swagging the verse and performing the verse. As long as you got your words in the verse, you can swag it. But when you take the words out, you really got to perform. And this also gives the audience a chance to hear that you really can rap. Every time I do this in front of judges or a talent show or anything, I always get that because like they don't expect that. Yeah. They hear the words first and then they just hear me and it's like, hey, is this him?
Is he really rapping?
It's the word, but he sounds just like the song, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that wow factor.
That's dope.
It's always, you have to distinguish yourself with everything that you do. Like it may be hard, but if it's something that you do, you'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Cory?
How I distinguish myself will probably be the way that I dress, fitting in, knowing where you stand, articulation, cologne, like, you know what I'm saying? Smelling good. Those are like old tricks of the trade, but my grandfather taught me that. So, I mean,
wow. Scent
is very important. Like smelling good, if you smell good, typically women are going to appreciate that. And you're going to distinguish yourself from other people around you. So
definitely.
Yeah. When you're getting ready to go somewhere, you know, with these exclusive people in these exclusive environments, how far into the thought process do you go when it comes to figuring out what it is that you're going to wear?
I have a stylist.
Okay.
So, I mean,
that part. Excuse me. I have a stylist. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the first step, is get a stylist.
If you can, but like I say, being at the right place at the right time, and just having the conversations, paying attention. A lot of these things, they'll come to you in the process of time, but I'm one of the people that utilize my sight. Like, God gave me a certain vision, so I look at everything around, whether I'm at one setting, if I see the same person, then I look at it as God put that person around me for a reason. Now I'm about to zoom in, you know, so.
I love it. Well, I think God put you guys around me for a certain reason, and I'm so excited to have been able to have a small conversation with you guys. I'm going to continue to stay tapped in to what y'all are doing and continue to communicate with y'all, because it's up from here. Like, we all about to see each other at the top. I'm very excited about what y'all are going to do. What you guys are already doing is moving the needle and making a positive change in the culture, in the community, and the media industry at large. So if people want to kind of stay tapped in to what you're doing, I know you just dropped an EP. I know Cory's got some exclusive stuff that he can't really talk about, but if people want to watch and engage and continue to learn from you and consume your music and your media, how can they do that?
Oh, well, first and foremost, like I say, I go by the name of Dar, Dar. You can tap in with me on all musical platforms, from Apple Music to SoundCloud to Spotify, whatever it is that you listen to music on, Dar. I have an EP out called Poppin' Without That Shit, which basically is, not to go too much into detail, but the meaning of that is, like, when you meet somebody and it's something that draws you to them and you don't really know them like that, but like a woman, say you see a bad woman and she walks in and you just get nervous because you see her presence. It's nothing that she did. She just blessed you with her presence. You know, so that's what I mean. Having that poison, that starness, that quality before you even get to the point where it's takeoff time and already having it, popping without it. Like I said, you can follow me on Instagram, Dar. We trust. Like, you trust somebody, Dar. We trust. Juugrunner ATL is the Instagram for the brand. Juugrunner ATL. Juugrunner ATL, that's the website. You know, I got Lady Runners, the modeling agency, that's on the way. Vimeo, I got a movie called Balance Out, Products of the American Ghetto, that's out on Tubi. I got new projects coming out as well, new movies, new all that.
All right, cool. Cory?
All right, so I am Cory Loggins is my Instagram. That's IAMCORYLOGGINS. I am Cory Loggins on Instagram.
There it is. And y'all already know me. Y'all know where to find me. Finding your niche. So yeah, stay tapped in. I'm so excited to see what's going on with y'all. Let me give another cheers as we close out.
Definitely.
Wishing you all continued success in everything that you do, and that God will continue to shine his light on you and continue to put you in these rooms and allow you guys to be the sphere of influence that everybody and the people around you desire to obtain. So yeah, cheers to that.
Find your niche.
Hey.